So we are discussing about the client administration. As part of the client administration, so the first point we discussed about the how to create a client, how to create a client. Then second point, then how to create logical system, then assign to the client here. So then third point, then data. So after creation of the client, so how to log into the so the newly created client. So by changing the parameters, so there is a login slash no underscore automatic underscore user SAP star equals to 0. So then restart it. So then we know how to log into the newly created client. With the SAP star, only PASS is allowed after login to the newly created client. So then after that, if you want to data, suppose sometimes we may get the request saying that get the data from the other clients. So is it possible? Yes, possible. That is called the client copies. Client copies here. In the client copies, we have the local client copy, then remote client copy, then the third one is called the client export and import method. Client export and import method here, right? So for the creation of the client, we used to do the SCC4 is the transaction code. Your logical system, sale or BD54 are the transaction codes here. How to log into the newly created means, so parameter need to change. Parameter, so need to change here. So meter need to change. For this one, you need to log into the SAP star with pass is the password for newly created client, only for newly created client. Then local client copy, SCCL, local, L means local. So then SCC9, 9 is for the remote client copy. So 9, if you turn it out right side, then this is the 9, right? Then export, client export means SCC8, right? So then client import, I means import I. So then SCC7. So then client copy logs, client copy related logs and everything, we can check in the SCC3, right? So client deletion. If suppose if you want to delete the client, suppose if you want to delete the client, you need to use the SCC5 is the transaction codes here. So these are overall about the our client administration part. Client administration part here. These all are about the client administration part here. So here, so local, remote, export, import, and deletions, all those things. So we have. So for export import also, it kind of a remote client copy. Remote client copy. Normally, remote client copy means so between two systems, between two clients, copying the data. This is the one client. This is the one more client. Copying the data from one client to other client, one client to other client. Call the remote client copy. Remote client copy we have to do. This is the source. This is the target. Copying the data from here to here. That is called the remote client copy. We have to do it. So this is the direct transfer, that is called the remote client copy. Directly via RFC destination, we are copying the data using the SCC9. So this is the source, right? So this is the target, right? Source to target, directly we're transferring the data. That is fine. But I want, so the export import method. So export import method also, it kind of transferring the data to the other systems within the landscape, other systems. So here what we are doing, first we are, so in middle from this system to this system, there is a file system directory that is called the trans directory at operating system level, USR SAP trans directory. Here there is a co-files and data files folders are there. So co-files starts data files here. So here as part of the export procedure, you are exporting the data from here to here. then importing the data to the here. But both the copies of agenda is either remote client copy and export import. Target you have to transfer the data, right? You have to transfer the data to the target client. Both the copies of agenda is so moving the data to the target client here, right? So then you need to log in and you will establish the connectivity, pull the data from here. What we have to do, this is the two-way mechanism export. So first what we are going to do, you need to export the data using the SCC8. You need to export the data here. Then using the SCC7, you are going to import the data here. SCC8, export SCC7 and import the data here. So one system you are going to export to the here and one more system you are going to import to the here. So, but what is the difference, sir, between these means? This is the direct transfer. A remote client copy is the directly you are transferring the data to the your respective target client here. Directly you are transferring the data to the respective target client here. Right? Directly you are transferring the data here to target client here. So, but export import is you are not going to directly. You are exporting to the in the middle of the file system. From here you are importing. So in this way, this is the two-way approach, but time-taking process. But it is the secure one. Secure one. There is no data loss or data miss activities. So why? Why means suppose here it is the Hyderabad, this is the Bangalore. You want to transfer something, then so you are the person directly you pick up the courier, then you went to the Bangalore, then you are only person directly you are handling the data to the target system here. Target system here. You are only person handling the system to the target person here. So but the export and import procedure is here. So you are in middle of Hyderabad to Bangalore, in middle there is a Jadcherla or Anantapur, Kadapa, something like. So then there you are exporting it there. Then from there one more person will come, they will pick up and they will hand over the data to the other person here, right? Here this is a two-way mechanism, this is the one-way mechanism here. That is only one difference. But then when we have to use the remote client copy or when we have to use the so client export import method means so when the data size is so it's a 1 terabyte or below, or if you have the good network bandwidth, then we can use the remote client copy. Your data size is not good, so sir means it's a more than 1 TB, so it's more than 1 TB, so and so then network bandwidth is very little bit low, then in this case you can use the export import method here. Why? Because continuously feeding the data in the source system, there is a performance issue, right? So then it is a cost. So to avoid that type of performance issues, what we can do, we can do the export, then the data will be loaded to the here in this folder USR SAP trans, then you can do the import option. You can do the import, data will be loaded to the target location here. That is called the export and import procedure here. Export and import procedure here, right? So which means both are same, but only thing is that this is a direct procedure, this is a two-way mechanism directly. So here what you need to do, you need to log into the source client, export it. Then target client, you need to import it here. Suppose like if you see here, someone maybe data client copy or something is cancelled in middle. See, client is locked against login, which means no one cannot log in now. Why? Because the 100 client got locked by someone. Means maybe if you are doing the client copy, it got cancelled in middle. So definitely there is a issue here. Then to remove that one, go to SCC3 transaction code. Then when you go to the SCC3 transaction code here, you will see so SCC3, the locks will be available here. What is happening here? And also, see here, there is a multiple client copies are processing now. Multiple client copies are getting processing in the system here. Remote client copy, ECD2, and the client copies are getting processing here. It's locked. Your client is got locked here. The client is got locked here. The client is source client is the 100, the target client is the 222. It's locked here, right? So maybe we'll see completed. Yeah, completed source and target. Okay, so it's locked. People are doing the client copies here. You can see it here. In the logs, we can find out what they are doing and what are the in progress and all those things here. Someone doing in the target client is the 100. Someone doing the remote client copy from NWD to ND4. Someone they're doing they are using the SAP underscore all. See here, it's a very huge data here. It may take very longer time also here. See here. So total 9,000 tables, 4,000 plus tables are copied here, right? So it's cancelled. So we can cancel it in middle. So maybe because this type of very big profiles. So we may have to, so we can choose the smaller one. We can choose the smaller one here. We can choose the smaller one here. So this is locked. Client is against locked here. Then SAP star with PISS, SAP star with password is failed.
Hi, sir. Sir, yesterday also I saw the same, sir. 100 client is locked. If you log into the 000 client, there we can see under the 100 client, sir, the client is locked during the copy. We can see the option check mark is tick mark is
Yeah,
check.
yeah. Someone wrongly copied the data. It got everything got corrupted in the 100 client. Yeah, everything got corrupted. Yeah, you can see in the 100 client. Even though if you are able to log in, so nothing is getting executed here. So nothing is getting executed here. So 100 client should be the source client here. So they are making 100 client as their target client. They are copying the data from the empty client to in the 100 client. So then only empty data will get. Empty data, you will get it out here. So that's what will happen. Okay, so that's the reason. Okay, not a problem. Export import method means maybe we can delete and we can recreate it. It will not a big harm. So, but only thing is in the real time when you are practicing, so you have to be careful while doing this type of activities here, right? You need to first check what is the source and what is the target. So then only, so you need to log into the target client, establish the destination, and you can pull it out of here. So that is the one thing. Okay. For export import, it's required the transport configuration is required for exporting the data, importing the data. So that time I will explain it. Why? Because our next concept is transport administration. But export import method also I will show you here. You can see it here in the detailed way. I can show you in the once the during the transport administration time. So exporting the data from the source system from here to and one of the file system here. Just what you can do, you can go to the SCC8 is the transaction code. Then you can select what is the system. Then list of systems are available here. What is the system? You can select it here. So then just click on the background job. So then schedule as a background job. It will create the three files in the system, export and export. While doing the export, it will create the three files. OS level, some files, some data will be generated here. That is called the KO, SID KO, SID KT, SID KX. KO means cross client data. Means it is the data which is specific to the all the clients. KT means client specific text, sorry, client specific data. X means so client specific text data here. So three files will be created here. Where it will be created, where the data will be generated under USR, under the USR SAP. So trans, under the trans. So there is a co files and data files here. Co files and data files here. Here the data will be generated here. The data will be generated here. You see, so here, so here we have the 11110 items here. So when you are exporting the data here, when you are exporting the data, so it will generate the files here, co-files and data files will be generated. So 87 request number is the 87 here, right? So just click on the OK button. So the logs we can check it out. Export is happening here. Export is happening here. You can see we go to the SCC3. So the client copy, the export will happen here. The export will happen in the systems here. If you go to the exports, the client copy export is processing now here. Export is processing now here. So export and import process here. So here in the you can see it here. So here there is a one while export is done, the data will be created here. The data will be created with the today's date. There is a one file will be created here. One file will be created here in the today's date here. Okay, so let's see whether it is exported or not. Processing. So this type of small data, we can use the direct transferring to the your target client. So, but we can also use the one more method, export and import. This is the rare cases people will use export import method. Why? Because it's a time taking process. Why? Because export, then you have to wait till export completed, then you need to import, then there are the two actions, right? Two actions you have to do it here, two actions we have to do it here. So that's the reason here. So 87, yeah, you can see 87, there is a one file got generated here. See here, text file got generated in the data file, or in the data file got generated here. There is a one more file will get generated here. One more file will get generated. That is called the co-files and data files.
Sai here, sir. Sir, is there any naming convention for the co-file and data file? Sir, we can see co-file as a K, starts with K, and data file starts with R.
Yeah. Co-file K, data file R series.
Okay, sir. Sir, while exporting, two files will be generated, right? KO, KT, KX.
This is the files actually. These are the files. Once the export is done, so the three files will clubbed into the one file. So the three files will clubbed into the one file. Then it will generate the file set operating system level in the here in these folders. It will generate co-files. It's a KT something like that, and data file. It's a RT something like that. It will generate it.
Okay. In both files, it will generate, right? So
yeah, both it will generate it. So K file is generated. Once that export completed, actual data available in the data folder. That's why you have a huge size of the data folder size.
So exactly what we need to find, sir, under the co-file and data file. If you open that file, what we need to?
So data file, it's in the binary format. All the data will be available. We cannot read it. Co-file, we can read it. Co-file is the control file. It will give the some information about the which user, which system, some information will be there. So we cannot open and we can see that we cannot see the data. Just data, just see the data here. Instead of wire transfer, what is happening? Instead of direct transfer to here data, you are exporting the data to the your operating system level in the trans directory, co-files and data files. Co-files, it starts with the K, data files it starts with the R. Data file it starts with the R here, KR. So here once the data got exported here completely, your file got generated here. Your file will be generated in this location here. File will be generated in this location. In this location, this is the actual data. That's why you can see the some of the files data is very huge size. Size is very big here.
So, sir, just like yesterday class, for the remote client copy, we require the RC connection. For the export import, we require the STMS connection, sir.
STMS connection is required.
How to establish, sir?
There is a next topic actually. The one topic, there is a next topic. So that time you will come to know what is the STMS configurations, how to perform the configurations and all those things we required. So, but this topic is there in the client administration. So that's why just to high level how we are going to export it. Then once export is done, how we are going to import it, I will explain it. Then during the transport administration time, that is also very big topic. It will take 3 classes, the transport administration also. So then that time, so how to add the systems, other systems into the our TMS control in the landscape, then how to move the data. So that time you will come to know all those things.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
So here, let's see here processing. It's processing. Only few tables are processed. So still half% is completed. So remaining half is left here. Thing is here, what's happening? The remote client copies, the more remote client copies are happen. So in the parallelly active here. And if you see the SCC3, so you will see, I think it's completed. But still there is a one more processing is there. What is this processing? ECD to EWD 102, 102. When is, I think few minutes, no. So let's cancel this one. Cancel. So there is a cancel option. We can cancel it. So that's possible. So while this is still fetching the data, that is fine. So meanwhile, while exporting is running, right? So it's running very slowly. So meanwhile, you can also use, so there is a transaction code to delete the client. We can delete the 100 client and we can recreate it. Why? Because so it's already corrupted, the data got corrupted, or we can perform the local client copy. So none of the transactions won't work. Why? Because someone wrongly did it. So that's why everything is gone. Even SCC5 also it won't work. Yeah, I know. See here, even SCC5 also it's not working here. You are not authorized to use the transaction code. So nothing will work here. So in this case, even how to delete that one also, that is the one of the thing we need to check. Because nothing work. So if you want to do any client copies, we need to log into the target client. So maybe export import also the transaction code should work. Even export import also it won't work. So, but we need to check the possibilities what to do. Here export, what is processing here? How much time it is processing? Monitor. It's processing slowly. Yeah, export and import method. Once the export is done, so then what we can do, we can go to the SCC7. 7 is the import procedure. So then the TR will come into this list. We can do the imports. We can do the imports here, export and import procedure. We can import to the respective target system here. So the only thing is you need to remember the transaction codes and logs. So how to check the client copy logs SCC3. So deletion SCC5. This is the one of the dangerous transaction code client copy deletion here. Deletion. So deletion means we need to delete the data. Data we have to be deleted here. So if you are deleting the data means we cannot roll back. Entire data will be deleted from the system here. So deletion we have to perform it. So client copy logs SCC3, 8 for export, E8, I7. So like that, if you remember the transaction codes, it will be very easy remembering all the transaction codes. So then the exports. But how much time it is processing? Let's see, processing the table. We go to L08, L08. There is a background copy job is active. One job is active. You can see one the background job is active in the system. Means other client copies are in progress in the system. So other client copies are in progress. Let's filter the active jobs only. Let's filtering the only active jobs and to see. Okay, two active jobs here. One is the export, second one is the import. The export is running from very longer duration here. See, so this one we can cancel. Stop canceling the active job here, stopping the active jobs here. So sometimes it don't cancel immediately here. It may take some time to cancel the job here. See here, even job also not getting cancelled, which means it got on status or it's doing something. So it will close the all the connections. Then now job got cancelled. You can see, but this is running. This is running here. So definitely it's only one process here. So it will complete it here. Reset. Same monitor, same option. Okay, let's wait for some time. So this will complete it. So here the file will be generated. How the co-file got generated? Once all the co-file got generated, it's the KT00087. Then same way, so here RT so 00087 like this, the data will be so generated here. The file will be generated here. These are the data files. So actual data resides in these files in the file system here. When you are importing, it will read the data from in the importing, it will read the data from this file system and the data folder and the co-files, and it will import it here. So which means two-way mechanism exporting SCC8. Then once the data is available here, then you need to import it here. So from here you need to go export it. From you have to log into the here, you need to use the SCC7. Then you need to enter the so transport number, the number it got created, that number you need to enter it here. That number you have to enter it here. Then we can import the data here, SCC7 here. So let me show you in other way, other transaction code. So when just click on the SC7, the exported TR will come to the here. The exported TR will come into that list here. So then you can just import it same way, that will be imported into the same client here. So that is the client import and export procedure. So the more way to testing, once we have done the transport administration topic, so that time we will come to know the more details how. So between two systems, we have the two systems are there, NWD and D4, right? So then how to integrate these two systems into the one landscape. We have the two systems, ND4 also there. How to integrate these two systems and how to configure it. So that time we will come to know here how to export that, how to import the changes to the from one system to development to quality, quality to production. So transport administration topic. So while that is in progress, and there is a few more transaction codes. Let me explain while that is what that is in progress. Transaction codes. Some other daily monitoring related transaction codes. SMLG we know, right? ST22 we know. SM21 we know. Job logs, runtime errors, log on groups and everything. So RJ12. RZ12 is for the RFC server groups. RFC server groups. This is the user logon groups, right? SMLG. RZ12 is for the RFC logon groups here. RFC logon groups here. So some internal parallel processing purpose, we may have to create the some groups here. We may have to create the RFC server groups here. RFC server groups here. So that parallel processing, it will be used the parallel processing purpose. So that will be used the all the work process as per the configuration here. This is called the RFC server groups. Internally, some jobs will run. SAP internally, some jobs, some reports, the people or we will execute it. In order to speed up the procedure, we have to configure the RFC server groups. In the groups, we will maintain the how many work process we required and everything, so that based upon the group, 70%, 30% of work process should be used based upon this group. 70% entire system, 75 process should be 75% of work process should be used. Like this, we have session there. We configure the 90%, then 90% of work process will be used for parallel processing, multi-processing here. So that is called the parallel processing perspective system. Internally, we may have to create the RFC server groups here. So we may get the request like how to create the RFC server groups, which means RZ12 is the transaction code here. The next one is called the
Sorry to interrupt, sir. RJ12, where exactly it will help, sir? It's
internally, internal communication purpose, the RFC communication purpose, it will be helpful. Suppose you are doing the client copy, okay, local client copy you are doing, or remote client copy doing, or some job you are executing. If you want to run that job in the multiple way, so one job is running, only one work process or one dialog work process will be used, right? Suppose I want to speed up the procedure, then in that case parallel processing. So some of the long running tasks are there in the system. So that time system will utilize this So developers, when they are creating the programs, when they are creating the reports, so there is a very lengthy program. Suppose example, it is having the 4,000 lines, it will execute the 1 hour, 2 hours. So if they want to speed up that procedure, then they will use the RFC server groups here. They will maintain the RFC server groups in their program. So that based upon the program, they will use the program. In that program, you can see, so how many number of work process should be used, 90% of work process should be used. So then in your system, how many work process are there? So all the work process will be used by this group here. All the work process will be used by that program during that time. So many process will be increased. So many process will be helpful, many work process. So suppose we have the six dialog work process, 90% means suppose like four dialog work process will be used to process your request. One is processing your request means 1 hour it will take. If the 4 are using means within 15 minutes your work will be completed, right? So for speed up purpose, our functional or development folks, when you are writing their programs or scenario, they will specify this RFC server groups, they will specify it. RFC server groups, they will specify it. That is the RFC server groups.
Actually, my doubt is, sir, SMLG login groups are we using in the while login to the message server, sir. At the time we provide them login groups, right? Like that, can we whenever we defining the RFC connection at the time, can we use the RFC groups, sir?
RFC groups, not only RFC destinations purpose. So internally also system utilize this one. Whenever you are performing, అంటే నీకు ఆల్రెడీ చెప్పాను కదా ఇప్పుడు, నీకు ఆల్రెడీ చెప్పాను నా ఇంటర్నల్ సిస్టంలో కూడా వాడతారు, లేదంటే తెలుగులో కూడా చెప్తున్నాను. సో ఇంటర్నల్ సిస్టమే కాదు, సో ఆర్ఎఫ్సి కనెక్షన్స్లలో కూడా వాడుకుంటాయి, ఇంటర్నల్ ప్రోగ్రామ్స్ కూడా వాడుకుంటాయి. సో డెవలపర్స్ క్రియేట్ చేసేటప్పుడు కూడా ఈ గ్రూప్ని డిఫైన్ చేస్తారు. అప్పుడు ఈ గ్రూప్ ప్రకారం ఎన్నైతే ఉన్నాయో అవి వాడుకుంటాయి అన్నమాట. అంటే నాట్ ఓన్లీ వన్ పర్పస్, దే ఆర్ ద మల్టీ-పర్పస్ ఫర్ యూజింగ్ దిస్ గ్రూప్స్. మల్టీ-పర్పస్, నాట్ ఓన్లీ suppose when you are creating the RFC destination, so they are the groups. So we can create the groups here. If you see here, so we have the, so log on load balancing groups, we can create it here. Load balancing groups. So load balancing groups, we can create it here. The load balancing group, so we can define the, we can, so load balancing groups. So here we cannot define any RFC groups, but but I will show you one example here where exactly. So here, okay, so here you can see there is a parameters for the parallel processing. So here it is asking the, so log on server groups here, whatever the groups you created, it will ask the groups here. So if you define this parallel processing, what will happen if you define these groups? So your speed, your processing speed will be increased. Instead of processing the 1 or 2 work process here, so 90% of work process will process your request. So so time will be reduced here. That purpose here they will use it. So the only rare cases, like suppose example, the RFC server groups during the client copy procedure, okay, and during the client copies procedure. Client copy procedure means if the small tables, that is process, but if you have the huge data you want to process, you want to minimize the efforts, you have the lot of number of jobs, means you can utilize the RFC server groups, you can utilize it. And also the developers when they are developing the programs, so they will use this RFC server groups for quickly processing their request. They will use the RFC server groups, they will use it. Also, so whenever you are processing, suppose, so for one system to another system, some other communication processing also, this RFC server groups. Only selective tasks are there. That selective tasks will be executed by this RFC server groups.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Only selective, not all the purpose. Internal communication purpose, internally programs communication that time. So if you want to speed up that procedure, we have the option called the RFC server groups in RJ12. Here we need to execute the, so if you go to the here, you can create the group. Here you can maintain the number of requests, how many number of requests we have to maintain for this one. Maximum number of work process should be used 90%. So you can just to give the details here. Then your program, in the program you can just give the this groups this RFC groups name. So that will be used this group. As per this group, how many work process should be used? Multiple. Then multiple work process will be used here. So internal communication purpose, the mainly internal communication purpose mainly. And the client copies, that type, this RFC server group also we can utilize it. Then yeah, only this main things here. So SM61 is for the, so background groups, background server groups here, background server groups here. Here you need to create the background job server groups here. Suppose any group you can create it. Then so suppose you have the, I think I will explain it already, I think. Suppose this is called SM61 is the background server groups here. So you have the multiple application servers here, right? One is the primary, or second one is the additional application servers are there here. Additional application servers are there. So here also background work process, 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 here also background work process. So one job, if you are running, then where she should be execute? Are in this location, or in this location, or in this server, or in this server, which way? So that's why if you define the background job server groups here, if you add the all the application servers here, system will decide during this time. System knows where to execute it. Then based on that, system, suppose in this application server, all the BTC work process are be free, then it will execute the request into in this application server. Or in the out of the 4, where we have the less load in these 4 application servers, your request will be executed here. Your request will be executed here. So that is what we need to. So that is the purpose we have to execute. We need to create the groups here, right? Why? Because when you are creating the group, when you are creating the SM36, you can see here we need to define the target. Target we have to define. So if you the multiple application server, you can define it. If you are the only one application server, if you define it, if you are the other application servers also there, you have defined only this application server, dedicated application server, what will happen whenever this application server is not available or all the background work process are busy, so then your job it won't execute. But if you define the group, what will happen in that group? You have the three more application servers are there. So this three will complete the work. This three will complete the work here. So this way we can progress the our means job server groups. We can progress it here. This is the way. So this is the SM61 background job server groups. We have to create it here. SM61 here. So here, if you don't define it, it will take it the default one. If you define it also, so we can just define the background server groups. Then you can add the what are the application servers. Sometimes what will happen, there is a requirement from the customer. So he said, so please don't execute any background job on this application server. Like this is a very criticality application server. Don't execute it here. So you want your job should only run on this tree only. Then this is the condition. Then in that case, in the groups, just to create the group, remove the app server, remove the application server from in this list. Then, so based upon this group, how many application servers are there? Only the request will be, your job will be executed any one of the application server only. So like this, so we can control it here. So SM61 here, SM61, we can control it here.
Hi, this is Ravi. Good morning. So,
Yeah.
while doing this implementation, by the time the architects actually they design and to deploy this, creating a group, job groups for this, or intermediately
During the support, when they have implementation time, they don't know the business and how the jobs will run there. No one don't know, right? They will create the general groups, maybe one particular group they will create it, but later during the long running, during the support time, so we may experience some issues on the one of the application server, but all the jobs also executing on the in this application server. So we don't want to get this application should be overloaded. So then we want to exclude this one from the job execution. Then just to go to the groups, here, then remove the application server which you want to exclude it, remove it from here. So jobs it won't run on this particular application server. So during that time, so if we know the business, then why? Because during the implementation time, there are no custom jobs is very less. But when the project went to the go live, so we may get the multiple requests. Support team will get the multiple requests. Why? Because during the project implementation is done, that time there is no data empty. So we won't get much request that time. But after the project go live is completed during the support time, we may receive the multiple requests. Why? Because that time business is functioning, data is coming to the systems, so the payments transactions are happening. That time we will come to know, so the load on the system and everything. So that time we may have to so take this type of activities here. Okay. If you have one application server, if you don't select also, all the jobs will be executed on that application server also. If you have the two application servers, that time system will decide where to execute it. How the message server will distributing the our user request to the available application server due to the SMLG logon groups. Then this time the server also like the job scheduler inside of the job scheduler of the SAP will decide will send the request to the available application servers. So in this case, all the jobs, all the application servers will equally distribute it. So where is Okay, so ended with errors. So it got failed. It got failed due to errors. So what is the error? So if you want to check the logs, just you can open the logs, file log or system log. Then you will come to know what is the errors here are 107 entries in the command line ended with the error. So how much time it is processed? What is the error? TP means a job got cancelled. TP ended with the error. So I think we cancelled the job. That may be the reason. Just you can check the system logs also. System log means if the client copy got cancelled, to investigate further, so we can check it out here. We can check it out here what's happening in the system. So why the client copy job got aborted, who aborted SM37, we have cancelled the jobs, right? That may be the reason. So here we will get the some details here. So what is the start time, end time, all the information it will be displayed here. So everything will be tracked, everything will be logged in the system here. The logs also will be generated. So and also we can also check the job log. So you can also check the job logs here. So client copy export, it's completed, but some little bit errors here. It's completed with errors here. Then what we can do, just if you go to the SCC7, so we can import it. We can import it here, SCC7, then import option here. See here, 87 is the transport request number, SAP underscore user, exported system is the NWD. So then export is done, then automatically the import request will come into the target system here. Then just click on the immediate job, then the import will start it here. The import will import will be started. So you can check the background job, the log is in the SCC3 here. So if you go to the SCC3, so we can check the import logs and everything. Export is done. Then in other system we can log in. Then we can check the import processing. So here import is processing here. Import is getting processing here. Import is processing. So like this import and export and import also we can practice it. Okay. So you can practice it all the entire client administration. So tomorrow we will discuss about the OS level file system. So OS level file systems. What are the files, folders, logs, troubleshooting logs? You will come to know more information about this file system logs here. So that is the very important step here, very important topic.